So hello and welcome to another digital marketing workshop brought to you by MintTwist, the international digital agency. My name is Elliott King and I am the CEO and co-founder of MintTwist. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking all about live streaming, the strategies and the tactics that marketers can use to make use of live streaming in their marketing strategy for their organizations. So quite appropriately today, we're going to be multi-streaming this episode. That means live streaming it to multiple platforms, channels, and profiles. And in order to do that, we're using a very nifty piece of software called Restream. And you can find out more about them and indeed take advantage of quite a nice offer they've got at the moment by looking in the links in the descriptions connected with this. So, what are we going to be talking about during this live streaming series? Well, I just mentioned it's going to be focused at content that's going to be useful for marketers, salespeople, managers, anyone really who wants to make use of live streaming as part of their marketing and communications strategy. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the strategic benefits and the tactics that you can use to make the most of this particular content format. So before we get deeply into live streaming, let's just talk about the strategic benefits of video, very broadly video. And obviously live streaming is a subset of video. So the two main benefits that video gives us as marketeers would be an extension of reach and awareness of our message. Now, most marketeers for a very, very long time now will be very comfortable and familiar with the benefits of creating blog content, news content, PR content that we can use as vehicles to deliver our marketing messages, but more importantly, as vehicles that we can use to create touch points between ourselves and our audiences of existing customers, potential customers, new customers, and then the market more broadly. And so if we're talking about video as a way to extend the content that we're already creating, which is a great entry point for people new to video, look at your blog articles. Can you create short form or medium or long form videos out of them? If you can do that and you're able to do that reasonably effectively, it's almost certain that you will reach new people and engage people to a larger extent by having that video format up and running and part of your content marketing plan and more broadly your marketing plan. And so it will increase our reach and therefore it will increase our awareness because it's a different type of content format. We will reach audiences that we wouldn't otherwise have been able to reach. Now, the second really powerful benefit of video is that it works on this know, like, and trust factor. So for the vast majority of brands and companies of every kind who are selling products and or services, in order for customers to actually buy from you, they need to go through a journey of, first of all, getting to know you, and secondly, beginning to like you. If you think really carefully about it, put yourself in your shoes as a customer or consumer, it's very unlikely that you buy from someone who you don't like. So you have to get at some point to, at some level, like the person or the organization that you're buying from. And so, and then the third thing, and the salespeople who are watching this will be very, very familiar with the trust equations. The importance of trust in sales is absolutely enormous. And so in order for us to get customers to actually buy from us, first of all, they need to know us. Secondly, they need to like us. And eventually they're going to need to trust us enough in order to actually be able to make that purchase. And we at MintTwist find that video really supports this journey, and it can support it at every stage, but particularly the like and the trust factor. If you create regular, consistent video content and you're able to authentically show the face or the faces, and it might be representatives of your organization more broadly. But if you're able to open up your organization, and video is a fantastic way of doing that, then you will speed up or make it easier for people to go through that journey of know, like, and trust. And for me, that's the really big value, powerful value of video. And obviously, this relates to traditional video. It relates to live streaming video as well. But let's talk now about the 6 benefits that are really specifically delivered by incorporating live video streaming into our content specifically. Now, first of all, it's an interesting one, but it's actually live video, if it's correctly planned, can be a relatively low-cost way of creating video content. And the main reason for that is that once you've actually streamed the content, you're recording it live and you're streaming it live, then the content is out there. It is what it is. There is no post-production phase. There is no extensive editing phase. Now, for those of us out here, and you might be one of them, if you've done any video before, you'll probably be familiar with the reality that the post-production phase, the editing phase, quite often takes a very long time. Perfecting a highly produced video can take a lot of time and therefore a lot of money. So live video is a relative to pre-recorded video, can be a relatively cost-effective way of producing content. It's probably worth pointing out here that live video will stream live, but in almost every single platform to which you'll be streaming, the content will remain available for replay viewing. And so you are able to get that longevity factor out of live content. Just because it's live, it doesn't mean it's only going to be watched live. In fact, in the vast majority of instances, the vast majority of viewers will be watching live content on replay, and you may very well be watching this video on replay. It's more than likely you will be. Okay, so the second benefit is that live video still today is boosted by the algorithms. You're able to make use of the fact that most of the social media platforms are relatively aggressively pushing live video content because they believe that it's going to be growing, or that it is growing, and it's going to be an increasingly important format going forward. So the algorithms will give your live content a bump. In many of the platforms, potentially all of your network who are logged in at the time will get notifications that you've gone live or that you are live. So you get a great boost, and that increases the reach and awareness of that particular piece of content. The third benefit that's listed here is this thing about enforced authenticity. So what I mean by that is, first of all, I think we'll all agree, the marketers in the room will certainly realize that authentic content is what a huge number of consumers and customers are looking for from the brands and organizations and companies that they buy from. So being authentic is actually, if you sit in front of a camera and start creating content, is actually more difficult than it sounds, particularly if you know that you can go back and reshoot a piece of content. If you get live video right, and it will certainly take practice if you're new to it, and if you have the right plan, you will quite quickly get to a point where you are actually being as authentic as you can be in front of the camera. And because it's live, you really have no choice other than to be authentic. At least you don't get a second go at it. So enforced authenticity is what I call it, and I think it's a key benefit of live marketing. So the other benefit is that it can be spontaneous and it can be timely, because many of the social media platforms will allow you to go live directly from a mobile. You don't necessarily need a setup like we've got here. You can, if you're in an event, if you're at an industry event, if you're with colleagues in the office, and there's something that comes up that's unexpected that would be relevant for you to go live and talk about, then you're able to do that. You can be spontaneous and in the moment, with live content. Now, when we say timely, What we mean by this is, yes, you can be spontaneous in the moment, but you can also plan. So you can schedule events. We'll talk about this more in a few minutes. But with live content, we can actually treat it as an online event. This could leverage a physical event, or it could even replace a physical event. And so we can set up a schedule of events and be timely in that manner as well. So the fifth thing is the interactivity. So, as we'll see in most of the channels when you're watching this, there will be a comment section, and those comments questions can be asked by the audiences. What we use here is a moderator. So in my place, there's someone moderating this content. You should be able to respond to those questions. Please feel free to say hello now in the comments, and the moderator will say hello back. So there's a certain amount of interactivity that you can have with live streamed content. There are clearly certain types of live stream formats that will lend themselves more to the interactivity. This is a bit more of a classroom style format. The content's being delivered. Yes, we will answer questions during, but more likely, after the event. But you can have things like live Q&As where the entire content is essentially structured based on the questions that the live viewers will be asking. And so the sixth benefit is this tactic that we're using here, where you can multi-stream the content. So if you've got profiles on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms, there's nothing to stop you by using a third-party technology like Restream or similar to being able to multi-stream that content to all of those platforms simultaneously. Now, clearly, a tactic like this is going to increase the potential reach that you can get from one piece of content. So those are the key strategic benefits of live video. Now let's talk about some of the live video marketing tactics. So how do we make use of those benefits? Before we talk into them in a bit more detail, let me just talk about the two top level groups. So first of all, one way of using live stream content is to create online events. So we touched on this earlier. An online event can be a real world physical event that's just streamed live. It can be insights or behind the scenes, insights based on a physical event, or it can be a completely online event that's got nothing to do with any physical equivalent event, or it can be some other form of online event indeed. And then the second tactical advantage is this idea of how we can use live video to increase reach and awareness. And in a moment, we'll talk about some specific tactics about how we can actually do that. First of all, let's talk about the live streamed event. So live streaming content can be used to leverage physical events. So let me tell you a story about those old days long before the pandemic. It was about 8 years ago when I was starting my digital agency with my co-founder, Alexis Pratsides. We partnered up with a few agencies in Europe, and one of them was an agency in Italy called Zero Communications. And I went to visit them in Italy. And when I went there, I actually went there to speak at a large event that they were holding in Parma, which is a city in northern Italy. And that event was, they invited a lot of local, dignitaries, I guess. And a lot of these people were business people and interested in the future of digital marketing. And this was a physical event that was, really powerful. Sort of 50 odd, attendees at the event, some speeches from the agency and some speeches from myself. And I spoke to the agency CEO of Zero Communications after, and I said, that event must have cost you quite a lot of money. You're a relatively small agency like us at the time. That's a big investment. Sort of what sort of return do you get that? And he said, Elliott, apart from our own digital marketing, this is our single best marketing tactic. We need to get people into the room and open their eyes to the possibilities of what digital marketing can do. And we find the best way of doing that is by hosting a physical event. I came back to London, sold on the idea of workshops and digital marketing workshops, and implemented them immediately for MintTwist. And I have to say, over the years, MintTwist The vast majority of leads, initial leads that we get, are from our own search engine optimization, position, and digital advertising that we do for ourselves. But what we find is once clients come in and they want to get a deeper understanding of our business, this is the like and the trust elements of that journey. We found that the workshop events were an absolutely fantastic way for clients who were interested but not ready to buy yet to come and just sit in our office and get a feel for what was going on. So we've been running physical events for a very long time now, and they've been very successful for us. About 18 months ago, we started to live stream these events. So we had people in our boardroom, in our office, that would hold 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people maximum. But we streamed the content, and we found that we were able to reach another 20 or 30 live viewers. And then in some cases, many hundreds of viewers were watching the replay of that content. So we still had the work to create the workshop. We created the workshop. We delivered the workshop live. But by streaming it live, we were able to triple the audience, the numbers of people, the size of the audience that we could reach. And through the replay viewing, we were able to increase it by, in total, a factor of 10 or more. So live stream can be a really powerful way of leveraging physical events. And if you look around your organization, your business, certainly pre-COVID times, there will probably be a lot of opportunities for you to leverage physical events. So live streaming can be also used to completely replace physical events. So most organizations since the pandemic have learned very quickly how to do this, and MintTwist obviously have been doing that as well. So we have been streaming full-blown dedicated training courses to a number of clients and organizations, and we have found that it's a really, really powerful and relatively cost-effective way of delivering a lot of value to our clients. And from their point of view, it's been exceptionally valuable too, not least at these times when many of us are stuck at home. And so the great thing is about an online event, once you've conceptualized an online event, you can schedule a live stream in most of the channels. So in YouTube specifically, you can schedule your live streams, months ahead, so that you can be marketing the event as a real event, even if it's just an online event, and you can be pushing people to a page where they can sign up and register for notifications for that event. It's a powerful way of creating marketing strategy around a single or a series of events. And as we touched on earlier, if we are running online events, then you can make them interactive. So this can be as simple as asking for questions of the audience at the end of your online event, or it can be something even more interactive, depending on what technology you can use. You can have breakout rooms for event attendees if you're using a system like Zoom or something like that. But what we've found, I'll just give you some insight here, what I've certainly found when we've been streaming content as opposed to delivering content in a boardroom or in a classroom or similar, is that the audience engages with you in a more passive way. So if you are going to look for highly interactive events, you've got to be very clear with the audience about what you expect from them. You've got to be clear, up front. It's not quite the same as being in the room, physically with the person, for obvious reasons. Okay, so tactics for using live streaming to increase reach and engagement with our content. So we've spoken already about the ability to multi-stream across multiple platforms, channels, and profiles. So this particular workshop is being streamed to 2 different YouTube channels, my own one and the MintTwist one. It's being streamed to LinkedIn. It's being streamed to 2 different Twitter profiles and 2 different Facebook profiles. And actually, there's no limit to the number of profiles, channels, and platforms that you can stream to. Like I say, you have to use a third-party system like Restream, but it's fairly simple to use, and the cost barrier entry is exceptionally and unbelievably low, particularly when you can realize the increased potential for reach and awareness of that piece of content. Effectively, you're creating one piece of content and you can stream it to multiple channels, which makes a lot of sense. Now, some of you out there will be saying, well, will the format fit all of the channels? This is a really good point. So certain channels fit certain types of content. So it's not necessarily the case that you will want to stream to all of the channels all of the time. But if you're a B2B business and you've got a YouTube audience and you've got a LinkedIn audience, it makes sense to stream to both of those channels. If you're a B2C company and you've got a Facebook audience and a YouTube audience, then it makes sense to stream to both of those channels. If you've got some representatives inside your organization or outside your organization that have an audience, that have a network that's relevant to your organization, then it would also make sense to consider streaming it to their Facebook and YouTube profiles or their LinkedIn and YouTube profiles. You can extend your reach. And we spoke earlier on about the algorithms still like live content. So algorithms will boost live content by sending notifications to connections of those profiles that are logged into that social network at that time. And the replay will will remain available. Now, if we can get the interactivity right and we can get a certain amount of comments going within our live content, then that can be a signal to the algorithms that it's valuable content that will go on to be promoted even after it's gone live. So please, if you've got a question, put it in the comments, because we would love to hear your question, because we want to answer it. We want to give you value. And the bonus for us, should be doing us a favor, is that it will be a signal to the algorithm that the video is valuable, and hopefully we can reach a few more people, which will allow us to continue making lovely videos like this. So if you haven't done already, please consider popping in a question. Okay, so the live stream can be scheduled and marketed in advance. So we touched on this when we talk about events. We can set up a live stream event in YouTube and in Facebook. It's very easy to do this now. And then we can market that particular URL. So we can get users to sign up for notifications and link to that piece of content by sharing that URL. And we can do that via email marketing, social media marketing, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's really important to understand that with live video, the vast majority of your eventual viewers will be the replay viewers. It's certainly the case that most people end up watching content on replay, not least because once the content is finished, as we've said, it remains available for replay. Therefore, you've got a post-marketing opportunity as well, which is as, if not more important than marketing in advance of if it's a scheduled live stream, there's marketing in advance. So the content remains available and it remains available for replay. An important tip is that if you are on Facebook, or YouTube or LinkedIn, certainly on those three platforms, you can go into your live streamed content that is a past live stream and you can clip the front and clip the back. Very often with live streams, you get timing issues where it will take some seconds for content to start and stop. And so if you edit the back and end of your live stream content, it will be a smoother experience for your replay viewer. Obviously, you can also update the description. You can update the tags against that content. So you're helping to optimize it for search, something that's really important on YouTube, but also relevant and important on Facebook and LinkedIn and others as well. So the content remains available for replay. We definitely want to go in and give it a quick clean up after it's streamed, and if relevant, build it into our marketing activities. So posting links to that content on social media, sharing it with our email audience as well. Okay, so finally, it's worth saying that there's an attractive net cost per impression off of live video, and it's really a function of everything we've been talking about, because you can get more reach and more awareness, and there's a reduced production cost. This all plays into the fact that you can reach more people for a lower financial or time or resource cost. So it's attractive from a marketing point of view. So what we've learned today is some of the strategic benefits of live video and some of the tactical advantages of live video. We've spoken in that section about tips about how we can actually deploy these types of tactics in our live video marketing strategy. So as I mentioned at the start of the episode, this is part one in a series of workshops that's going to be totally focused on live video streaming and live video marketing, how marketers can build that into their strategy. So please stay tuned. There'll be another workshop this time next week. And in the meantime, please leave us a comment, leave us a thought, leave us a review, ask us a question. Any interaction, we'll be delighted to come back to you. Until the next video, have a wonderful day and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.